At all times, all nations and religions were asked questions about fate. This question is one of humankind's internal questions and countless attempts to resolve it. One of the possibilities of solving was found in the art of hand reading. Palmistry allows you to diagnose and determine the nature of the disease by the appearance, color, nails, and palm lines, by pain and unusual sensations that occur in a person when touching and pressing on certain points. In the human body, everything is provided for the creations of a single and unique individuality to create a unique personality. All parts of a person are in total relationship among themselves. Facial features, scalp shapes, posture, gait, look, voice, gestures, and even handwriting. Who makes the handwriting? Of course, hand. If so, why cannot a hand be a mirror of man's inner world? No matter how similar it looks when looking at the hands of different people, they are still different. No hand looks like the other. As we know, significant change in the human body, such as surgery, illness, mental injuries, can leave a mark on a person's face, change facial features and expressions, lay falls and cause red hair thinning. And since the hand is most closely connected to the brain, science on it allows us to draw conclusions about the past and predict the future. Often we have questions about why nature cannot tell a person dangerous moments and crisis points of his life. What would he be able to warn them and at least avoid or weaken them, using such qualities as wisdom and perseverance? Meteorology predicts us storm and bad weather, and we can take umbrella or sit at home, and these predicts often come true. This avoids much harm and misfortune. I do not engage in Indian palmistry. It has its own difference from European and Chinese. My interest is based on treatment and palm diagnostic. But on this hand, the tongue, when you analyze Mali, Greek, and a lot of line, you can read all the main fateful events of a person, even relationship in the family, spouse, children, disease, career, even that by what means natural or violent. I do not want to touch on this topic for my own purposes. I just wondered why Indian palmistry took only the main lines, his hand, and described them, made conclusions that he had a depression moment in this period. It's necessary to analyze not only main lines but also influence lines for the overall picture. It's necessary to inspect all opticals on the main lines as well as the most clear expressed difference in both hands. But to say that under the influence of the heel of Saturn there is side effects, this is simply stupid. Sorry. Let's open our horizon a little bit, and we will not push back from the heel of Saturn and hand all the labels of failure on it. After all, it has so many beautiful qualities. I want to ask what depression is. So many labels won in his name of Sushant Singh. Since I have been living in India for 18 years, I immediately drew attention to this and why it's happening. Therefore, dear colleagues, engage in healing practice and considering the hands of my patients, do a general analysis. I will not tell you much about the depression. Maybe someone will see themselves from the outside and make sense of what is happening. I will tell you very briefly if someone is interested, then I can drop the name of the books on the comment in private. There are several types of depression. One of them, psychotic depression. That is a person who suffers from temporary emotional depressions caused by unfavorable circumstance of life or some unpleasant event. The main symptoms of depression are a loss of interest in everyday activities, a sense of despair of depressions, accompanied by fatigue or a decline in strength and inability to concentrate, indifference, isolations, constant reflection on the same things. I think do not confuse depression with exhaust, which Deepika Pudakon may have had. Another depression called exhaustion occurs with emotions and physical overload and is accompanied by loss of performance. They usually have reputation of working people. They accept too much from life and feel very lonely when no one appreciates the result of their activities. From this, they lose faith in themselves, begin to feel helpless, and quickly surrender. Moreover, they do not have the desire to do something. No man in the world, including yourself, has a right to order you to jump above your head. To love yourself is to recognize your abilities, opportunities, and weakness. You have to consider on your attitude immediately. You don't have to do feats to impress someone. A person who knows and takes into account the limits of his abilities less often becomes the object of criticism and lives happier. When a person is happy, his energy is continuously filled. Depletions is caused by lack of energy, and lack of energy is caused by depletions of a person's ability to love. As you can see, all this quality do not belong to Sushant Singh. Even alone as Sushant Singh found himself, and each of us has change of mood, anger, resentments, and all this negative emotional are manifested in our life. It's usually fine if the day is replaced at night, so the night is replaced by day. It's natural. The hypothetic palmistry is there to be represent outer cells is essence, and the right hand gives informations about who we became as a result of development. For hand, psychologically, the difference between both hands is very important. And now we will begin to consider the characteristic of Sushant Singh's hand. The characteristic is very common. I will take only the main one. The type of his palm belongs to the fire, and the same additional elements is artistic. A man of such a hand is primarily reasonable with well-developed composition. They can be timid, calm, and sensual, but also nervous, lightly disturbed, impressionable, and petty. Their multiracial mental qualities lead to sides of nature. On the one hand, strong activity, and the other side, increased sensitivity and isolation. Many individuals have such vivid qualities as charm, determination, and impressiveness. They are loved everywhere, often successful in life. They know how to live well and get all this from life. However, there is a danger that this will cause a strong selfish instinct. Often people take on more than they can do and are torn between necessity, refuse to communicate with people, and on the other support. Such a person has a living intelligence and understand refers to others. They like to joke and rejoice in every phrase and noble way of expressing thoughts. Their vocabulary is large and thinking is aimed more at observations than at symbolism. And these are people of practice, not theories. Such people have many abilities both in the sport type of activity, requiring intelligence and calculations, and in the creative. Professionally, they have a tendency to technique and creative work, technicians, engineers. In addition, they are attracted to these professions in which they will be able to create and learn new things, like businessmen, actors. Communication with people is very developed. The line of life merges with the headline, a small area. You can see this is line of life and this is of head. Some, maybe 1-2 points, they come together. And this small area talk about person's prudent behavior, his rational thinking, self-control, balance and response in various situations. Parents in childhood try to contrast each child's actions with their love and excessive parental suppressed in a small personality. Sometimes they impose a point of view. As a result of such totality, the child develops such qualities as caution and foresight. Before making a decision, waits for a long time, ponders. You can see he has double life, line of life. This is testifies to the talent of reincarnation and is often found in people working in the field of art. A person with such a sign has a powerful energy and loves changing life. Their constant search for something new concerns not only emotional impressions but also knowledge and skills. Such a good physical constitution in psychological meaning gives firm self-confidence. In addition, people with such a hand usually have the ability to have a strong magnetic effect. The line of life is slightly shifted to the heel of Jupiter. This gives a person a good element of assertiveness and determinations, ambitions, inspired plans for life. In front of us, the leader started. In character quality arise as ambitions, vanity. People want to be significant and influence others. These qualities are good if a person holds a leadership position, organizer or leader. The line of life is very strong, deep, wide, speaks of temper, hotness of character and uncontrolled temperament. Such people tend to act under the influence of emotions and often suffer from consequences. The line of head on the right hand is direct toward the heel of the moon. This creative personality. He has great respect for his parents, takes care of them until old age. He is no hurry to start a family. He is looking for spirituality rich woman, appreciates accuracy and cleanliness. This is the reason why that he will not marry for a long time. Usually in humans, The location of the heart line and headline is just above the headlines. I can show this is picture. You can see it's separate. Okay. Around 60% of newborns have a fused line together. Yes. But the line changes with age. But Sushant's right hand had both lines merge into one large transverse line crossing the entire palm. It's called the Siam line. The margin of both lines express an excess of emotional arousal, with, however, will not be evidence of a lack of internal balance. This sign expresses rather the excessive excitability of feelings. Such a person is rarely quickly aroused, and his mental impulses are very deep, but as a rule, there is always a confident possession of himself. Concentrating spiritual activity leads to the effectiveness of the original method of expression. His strong personality hates any restriction. It's such a limitations in any respect that can cause psychological problems of a person, which can entail physical disorders. He should avoid everything that can affect the limiting on independence, be very careful in professional relations, and not go far. There is a strong and harmonious will in his activities. At the same time, it can be flexibility and diverse. His diligence will always be rewarded, intentions realized. In this case, a pronounced strength of character is combined with favorable cordiality and mindfulness, with, for the most part, have a positive meaning, and only in rare cases their negative influence is possible. All this can depend on the morality of a person. The further course of the headline, when it falls on the moon hill, its psyche is replaced by anger, pain from the loss of relations. The moon gives him the illusion, but if he gives will to his emotional passions, anger, then this reject is encouraged by great misfortune. These are all emotions, they can devastate him. He needed to tidy up his nervous system in any way, with someone talk and relax, that's all. The following headline falls around 33 years old. I did read horizontal line. Speaks of despondency, melancholy from lost relationship. But I don't think it was start it was more than 4 or 5 years ago. The heart line of the left side, you can see, has a response that rest of the headline. A person with such combination on his hand, it's smart, energetic, initiative, easily achieve success both in the profession and his personal life. It's a fraud that they measure luck only with the level of material security, which becomes the cause of distrust of others, a sign of inequality. When I looked through some of his interviews with old ones. And over the past few months, I noticed that his hands were constantly shaking. No, it's because of the problem. It's because of the design of his body. I tell you a little later when it comes to fingers. I found some interesting things thanks to Chinese doctor Palmistry, Zhao Limin. His doctor and treatment and diagnosis by palm of hand. The line of attachment has several assumptions. In our part, West India, this refers to the marriage life. This is line. You see 1 and 2. But in China, it's liver line. Yes. The liver line begins under unnamed finger and stretches to the rib of the palm, are also called the alcoholic line. The presence of this line indicates violations of the function of baking due to excessive use of alcohol or drugs. Some patients with rheumatic arthritis can also have this line. It's also observed in patients who received poisons due to contact with poisons in people with liver disease. And if we look about this is age around 45. But if I look in his face and I found he has a little bit scars, it's coming to 45. It means if he will alive still 45, he has very big problem in his health. I found some interesting things about able to hearing touch basic interpretation in books of palmistry. This is someone calling influence life, someone tell about sweet line, sweetheart. It's line coming from back side of hands in heel moons area. The many palmistry consider one of the values. First, it's increased sensitivity to chemicals, drugs, some products, alcohol, and tendency to allergies. The second interpretation of the lines is they need to satisfy physical desires. And the third interpretations of associated with parapsychology and superpowers of its owner. For example, palmistry as Fenton writes about the possible presence of healing abilities about this line. Yes, but in West palmistry and Indians we call it hidden line. And this is under the little finger. Palmistry Hurliman connects it with such phenomena as premonition, inspirations, everything from the world of mysticism about this line, with the manifestations of innate instincts, for example, continuation of the genius, or with an interest in parapsychology. The textbook of the Munich Institute says that the island on the line is a sign of paranormal abilities, and the line itself can be related to paranormal phenomena. And you know, this is a line I found in left side too, and we have some island on this line that it's do correction, then he had paranormal phenomena. Just a few days ago, I had the news that Sushant was suffering from bipolar disorder. No, to my regret, our doctors and psychologists are not specialists in this topic. They write off any illness for depression and emotional disorders. He doesn't have those facts on his hand, but there are very interesting other facts. I cannot say everything here, since every person has his own family secrets. He had ancestral knowledge and a connection with universe, but to his desire, having no knowledge of the other world and people who could help him. And this is all very simply worked out through the energy practice of some specialists of Master Reiki, Theta Healing, regressologist of past life. He suppressed this unknown knowledge that was given to him from his ancestors. He is victim of circumstance and victim of kind. If one of his family members looks at me, they will understand what I'm talking about. I won't just give one request. If they need help, they will come out to me to work out both karma. Otherwise, the next generation will work out this. It wasn't so bad as it seems. And whatever they say about his weirdness, these people don't understand him. His hand is an open book of knowledge. You can see everything. There were no necessary people in the circle of Sushant. And how many times the universe gave him sign that he did not respond. Most often experience is experience in rejections, guilt, fear, regret. Then a person constantly attract to himself these circumstances and personalities, then again and again lead him to the need to experience the same experience. It's my favorite topic about healing and is one of the most beloved and practical knowledge what I'm sharing with you. I will definitely do a video broadcast on this topic. In the left hand, he had two lines influence. I wrote in black pen. And they cross of line of head. It's 34 years. At the time, Sushant has circumstances and people who influence him and manipulate him. As I told you before, that universe many times gave him sign that he did not respond to. Blue line, I wrote the Venus line. The Venus belt is a semicircle that is located the upper part of the palm. Usually it connects the gap of the index and nameless fingers. Usually the Venus belt speaks of a delicate curiosity of a person in all areas of activity and requirements for a partner. But his Venus belt is torn, but retains a certain shape. The belt of Venus is also a reflection of some nervous sensations of a person. Usually there's a creative nature, which discard personal interest and rush to the creative process. The rapid impressiveness of such people irradiates the sentimentality characteristic of them and make them experience what leaves other indifferent. In people with overly sensitive fantasy whose hotline drops to the heel of the moon, first I told you this is headline that drops of the moon heels, but this is Venus on the left hand, okay? And we talk about if this is line of head drops, this is line to line of the moon, of the heels of the moon, and we have conical shapes of fingers. The Venus belt express predisposition to mysticism. Sushant had certain sensitivity and has a bright susceptibility. On the other side, restraint and shame, which does not contain any prudence, leads to noble concealment and healthy moral perceptions. There between thumb and fingers are muscles. It provides a special movement of this finger which increase contact with the surrounding world. The thumb is the image of the corresponding person, the expressions I am. The bond of the thumb is visible. This is indicator of man's stubbornness. He has strong willpower. If he decide, then he decide, and it's extremely difficult to convince him. The thumb has dynamic people. Strong indicates intelligence, a strong desire for independence, as well as a great perseverance in the implementations of their plans. People with this sign are mostly unpredictable. It's very flexible, a sign of adaptability, which can be both virtue and disadvantages. In positive quality, it promotes harmonic contact with the surrounding world. If there is too much adaptability, person is exposed to influence, in which case he can be easily used by other people for his own purposes. The owner of such a thumb is variable, impulsive nature, for which the harmony of the world around him is necessary. The root phalanx of the finger is long, indicates frankly and powerful and entrepreneurial person, a sense of justice, as well as clear intuitive perceptions of circumstance. The sense of harmony and rhythm is highly developed. This helps to recognize the creativity ability that, depending on the inclinations, find expression in music, poetry, choreography. The owner of the corresponding hand directly and very sensitively responds to all the harmonic stimuli that mean everything to them. They are also able to feel the rhythm of their surrounding and automatically reproduce it both in the material and spirituality spheres. Love for order is also a tribute which can manifest itself in the material and social fields. The distance between the nameless finger and the little finger. This is distance. It's a site of great independence in affairs and thoughts. Indicate that the presence of available initiative as well as a desire for independence. Such people have a strong, exceptional intellectual thirst for knowledge, which means that such people get joy from the process of acquiring knowledge. The gap between, you can see, this is in both hands. This is gap between our fingers is a sign of wastefulness, which serves to satisfy really intellectual needs. This kind of wastefulness in some people can become a mania, and furious patience for gathering, accumulating. Such a person is ready for all secretion to get the desired thing for his collection, gallery, album, or office. As I told you before, that he has the conical upper phalanx and the fingers represent a nature full of fantasy and intuitions, highly sensitive. This sensitivity often turns into supersensitivity. If all the phalanx of the fingers have a conical phalanx, this is a sign of weak will. Such a person is influenced, often found with actors and dancers. The little finger on the hand is not much curved. Its division of sensitivity and can go beyond the goal set. Maybe you saw in his interview that his hand was curved and body was always moved. It's because that this predisposition leads to life and painful reactions has an effect on the central nervous system. You can see where is it, all fingers, and from there goes to nervous system. Now you can see full of body goes to the up and out, then first brain, then back. No, it's not of the problems, it's because of the design of his body. The central nervous system conducts this arousal on the sympathetic nervous system. Nails. His nails has character of the corresponding person is mature and peace-loving. It contains a wide outlook, has good mental abilities as well as good natural strength. The length of the nails is equal to the width. This practically and a rather cold sense of reality, to which selfishness can be added in case. Such a person has a wide sincerity of reason and honest mental modesty. Sushant had a well-developed sense of justice and truth, as well as understanding, practical interest and pleasure in material well-being. I want just a little bit observe girl's Ria, her hand. It's a very emotional person. Elements of water. She's on her mind. She always has a life of line that change her directions. Most likely she will live. Yes. She also has a toxication line. Maybe sitting or some medical drugs or something stronger. The girl wants social status, so she dread the ring of muscles significance and on the middle finger, showing her unique character more. If any situation, I understand that a person himself provoked this circumstance, this karmic work of previous reincarnations. As I said in part 1, now I will repeat. Each of us has psychic effects on the people around us. And depending on what laws we use, we either improve our lives or destroy. We attract low frequency things. If we suppress other selves, condemned, adjust. Every person who thinks about us or who interacted with us gives part of his energy, but it will be similar to us. It turns out that we in our lives attract what we are filled with ourselves. But if we admit that we feel anger, resentment, aggressions, hatred, fear, then taking it out, we neutralize it. Our task is to create the conditions for all unnecessary things to come out of us and to receive all useful things. Sushant Singh's life, this is history. History is laws that come to us regarding our acceptance. So, the story of Sushant Singh, the model, is only an external manifestation. Let us not to be tracers of this story, but will become discoverers of the feelings of which he dreamed. We pray for the repose of his soul that he would find peace. As you know, Sushant Singh loved reading books. In farewell, I will tell you one quote from a very famous person, a Canadian Herbert Reeves, astrophysicist and cosmologist and NASA science advisor, honorary president of the French Associations Humanity and Biodiversity, a man who is the most insane species. He worships an invisible God and destroys a visible nature. Unaware that this nature he is destroyed in this God he is worshipping.